What do you think of Elon's acquisition of Twitter? I saw you tweet a couple of times about it.
Well, look, I mean, I think there was a lot wrong with Twitter. Unfortunately, I don't think Elon has made it better.
What do you think was wrong with Twitter?
Well, I think what was wrong with Twitter was that it was trying to provide all the features inside of Twitter itself instead of making Twitter more programmable. That was my number one misgiving. And my number two misgiving was that I think really basic things had been botched. Like the blue check program was just a complete, utter fiasco. And then I also think a lot of the approaches that Twitter took to content moderation, I think started with good intention, but were not executed very well at all. I do think there were a number of important things wrong. I also think it was wrong how heavily dependent the company was on advertising and so forth. I still believe that there's an opportunity today, even after all the damage that has been done both by the prior regime and by the current one. I still think it's not too late because Twitter is hard to kill. It's a network of networks. I do wish very much that Elon would basically sort of say, look, we're moving this to a steward ownership model and we're going to basically make it so that it becomes fully programmable again, and we make it so that, you know, the verification makes sense. I think that's not too late, but, you know, it is going to be too late at some point. Now, whether or not it's possible to do this for him, given the financial structure he's created, that I don't know. But that would be the right thing to do. And I think if he were to do it, I think it would change the perception of why he acquired it and the perception of whether he can take any kind of feedback or not.
Why has the blue checkmark been a fiasco?
Well, because the blue checkmark, it completely confounded two things. It confounded the identity thing with the importance thing. And the importance thing, I think, was complete BS, always. Like, who's supposed to say who's important, who's not important? It should have always just been like, we have verified that the person tweeting from this account is who they say they are, period, end of story. It would have been really, really simple. And instead they made it about all sorts of other things. And that was a terrible, terrible idea.
I totally get you. I totally understand. If you were to sit down with Elon today in an armchair, nice fire, little, you know, coffee and tea, whatever we want to do, what would you advise him?
I would say move this to a steward ownership model. A steward ownership model means, you know, you create a golden share, you put the golden share with a foundation so Twitter can be acquired. You really have a clear vision and mission that's enshrined with this golden share about being this network that's a globally accessible network. And then, you know, making it programmable. So, you know, making it going back to letting third-party Twitter clients flourish instead of shutting them off. And
Albert, he would respond, I can't do that. I'm up to my eyes in debt. I've got financial providers who are crushing me. I'm selling Tesla stock.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I mean, that's tough noogies for you, but you're still one of the world's richest people, and you still could basically give any debt provider an out, and you could still basically just take a bunch of your wealth and sort of say, look, we're doing that. He has the financial wherewithal to do it. The question is, you know, will he want to do it? It's not a question of does he have the financial wherewithal to do it.
Okay, a final one, I promise. TikTok. What are your thoughts on TikTok? I'm in the UK, so I don't have such exposure. Like, how do you think about it? How do you think about like Chinese intrusion on US consumer data and the future for TikTok?
Like any other system, I believe the same to be true here, which is that I believe these large social systems need to be programmable so that I can have a third-party client. If they're not, we're being programmed by them. It's sort of a very stark choice. Either we're being programmed by the system, or we can program the system. And so I don't feel different about TikTok than I feel about Twitter or Facebook, for that matter. These systems need to become programmable. If they're not programmable, we're being programmed by them.
So the fact that TikTok's really Chinese owned and they have very different rules around data sharing with their governments doesn't change?
Look, I think it's about shifting the balance of power. You know, as long as I am basically reduced to like my thumbs and the sort of wetware between my ears while somebody else on the other end is operating millions of servers, that's just the wrong balance of power.